So this is part 2 of my range drills for law enforcement video series. In this video, we're going to go over a drill that I think you should be doing in order to test your fundamentals in a high stress, high intensity style of a drill. So if you're not familiar with this series, go check out part 1. And it'll kind of give you a little bit more of a backstory, but essentially what it is I want to put out videos that go over drills you can do as a law enforcement officer that are designed specifically to mimic various scenarios that you might find yourself in on the street in a shooting context. So just to recap on that video, it was to mimic the situation where you might be approaching a subject who you received a call about. Maybe it's a trespasser or something like that. And you go to talk to them, and as you're approaching them, they produce a weapon of some form, so probably a gun or maybe even a knife. And so it was to mimic that movement where you're walking up, talking to them, and then it's time to go to work, and you're probably going to be moving laterally. If it's a firearm, that's probably the best course of action in that situation because it makes you harder to hit. And then obviously if you were going up against a knife threat, you'd probably want to try to back up and make a lot of distance that way. So this drill is to sort of add on to the drill I talked over in part 1. So instead of you walking to a subject, this drill is to mimic a foot pursuit. So let me get kitted up really quick, and then let me set the targets up and we'll get into the drill. So quick side note really quick. I think it's really important for you as the shooter who is trying to train and get better, when you're doing these drills, pretend and imagine and get in the right mindset like the scenario that you're training for is actually happening. So what do I mean by that? For this drill specifically, this is going to mimic a foot pursuit. So run at the speed that you would be running in a foot pursuit. And then once the threat command is given, pretend and try to get yourself in that mindset of actually believing that the paper target that you're going to be engaging is actually somebody who is trying to shoot at you, and move at the pace that you think that you would be moving at. So, for example, if I was moving laterally and shooting, I probably wouldn't be moving at a pace like this in real life, right? So you're going to be moving faster than that in real life. So try to move at that pace. If you're trying to really diagnose your fundamentals and figure out what you might be doing wrong, then it's okay to slow it down a little bit and try to see what it feels like when everything is good. But I'd highly recommend doing everything in all of these drills that I present in this whole series at a speed that is consistent with what you're going to be doing in real life. So for today's drill, like I said, foot pursuit drill. It's going to mimic the idea that you might be in a foot pursuit and a deadly threat is presented and you have to deal with it. So to start off, obviously, get your target stapled on the stands. And I like to add this little circle here, not only as a visual reference aid to help guide my eyes to the target and work on using my vision properly when I'm shooting, but I like to also use it as a highly strict standard to try and keep all my rounds inside of that black circle. So it's unrealistic to think that at the speeds we're moving at that we're going to be able to do that, but it's a good thing to try to strive for and work on. Now, the reason I have it so high up here on the target is because, a typical A-zone target like this is fairly large and you have a lot of area to work with. But if we're trying to mimic a scenario that we're in a deadly threat encounter, we want to try to remove that threat as quickly as we can. And so, on a competition target, down here would be acceptable hits. And if you were to engage somebody and hit them in the lower abdomen here, it would be effective, yes. But I don't think anybody can argue that trying to get all of your hits in the upper torso area will probably be more effective. Obviously, head being the most effective, but there's a lot of important stuff, from your rib cage and up. And so trying to keep all of your hits in that upper center torso is really important in my opinion. And I think you should train like that in order to get the mental reps in of where you're trying to hit. Now, obviously, this only applies for law enforcement or anybody who is trying to train for self-defense. It doesn't apply to competition. So again, foot pursuit drill. You're going to need some space to run. So I'm sorry to everybody that can't have a flat range where they can move around and shoot on. But, you're kind of just shit out of luck at that point. There's really not too much you can do to follow along with these drills. But, for my purposes, I do have this range. And so back over here, I have, if you can see somewhere over here, a blue barrel set up. That will be my starting position. On the command of go, or just really whenever you want to start running, you will start to run towards the target over here. Again, full speed, sprinting, not a jog. You're pretending like you're in a foot pursuit. So full sprint towards the target. It helps to have a second person with you. That way, as you're running, they can give you a threat command, whether that be threat, gun, or a shot timer. That way, it's not really so programmed. But if you don't have somebody there, just as you start to get close to the target, within about 12 yards or so, rapidly slow your momentum, draw your gun at the same time, come up on the target and start engaging the target while moving either laterally side to side or straight back or at an angle, either forward or backward. And now what I like to do also is, like over here, I have a VTAC barrier set up. That is set up there as a form of cover. So once I'm engaging, I'm going to be moving back to cover as I'm engaging. Now, to add another layer into this drill, once you get into the cover, you're going to fully conceal yourself so you are not exposed to the threat anymore. Mandatory reload on the gun, and then lean back out, exposing as little as you can to the threat and engaging with another, 2 to 5 rounds, just depending on what you're feeling like and how much ammo you have and stuff. Okay, so I filmed this once already, and mid-rep, my camera overheated. So we got to redo it. I'm going to demonstrate it for you really quick. There's already going to be holes in the target because I got a full rep in. I've marked those all with Sharpies, so we will see where I hit this time. Oh. God. Whoa. So that obviously didn't go as planned. I decided to stop right where there was a bunch of shell casings. So could happen in real life. You've got to work through it. Let's go down really quick and take a look at the hits. So pretty poor performance, to be honest. That's why we get out here on the range though. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 6. Camera go up. 6. And then 7 through this other hole that was already here. So I dropped 1 round completely off the target. I'm gonna say that's probably due to the almost eating shit there when I was coming to a stop. But this is why you come out on the range, you train, and you get better. I also realized I didn't do a reload in there. So let's do it again. Try not to almost eat shit this time and see what happens. Oh. God. All right, progress. Didn't eat shit. So take a look. I know I probably sent one high as I was stopping my momentum and coming up on the gun, and it started backing up. My gun started to raise, so I'm pretty sure I sent one over the top, but let's go see. So that was a little better. Once I got into cover, I was able to get some better rounds off, but I fired 11 rounds. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then one off the side of the head, 10. So again, like I said, I'm pretty sure I sent one over the round, over the target as I was stopping my momentum and working backwards. So that just tells me that I need to work on keeping the gun flat and stable when I am stopping my momentum, and really try to emphasize getting that dot on the target before I press the trigger. So guys, that's the drill. I demonstrated it one way. You can obviously change where the cover is. Instead of being behind you to the right, it could be in front of you to the right. It can obviously be off to the left. You can play with where you put the cover. That way you can work on multiple different angles that you would have to move while you are engaging. So some things to think about. Pretty obvious. You want to have good fitness. I don't have the best fitness. I'm not going to try to say I do. But being able to quickly accelerate and quickly decelerate is going to help you. So that's something you can do off the range. But then, like what had happened to me, as I'm drawing my gun and stopping and presenting, as I was starting to back up, I actually felt and saw my gun raise as I was doing that. So it just tells me, as I'm coming in, I need to be a little bit more stable and back up more effectively. Something for me to work on. And I'd imagine if you haven't done this too much yourself, it'd probably be something you'd have to work on as well. Additionally, make sure when you are leaning out of cover, you aren't like stepping out and exposing your lead that you're stepping with. You should be lining up the outside leg with the cover and just leaning out in order to see the target and engage. You shouldn't be exposing that lead at all. And then, obviously, if you want to isolate out specific portions of the drill, you can. You can just do the running part to stopping and engaging stationary. You can progress to running, stopping, backing up and engaging. And then, additionally, you can do this even in dry fire. The reloads, once you come into cover, get that reload going, tack reload, whatever you want to do, get the gun back up and running, and then re-engage. So I hope this gave you some ideas on something that you can do at the range to sort of gauge where you're at and figure out what you need to work on specifically going forward. And so again, there's various different things you can change about this to make it even better. Again, like I said in the start of the video, having a second person here with you will help a ton, because they will be able to give you the threat command, and so it's not up to you to decide when you're stopping, right? So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and drop a like, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. Also, I just started and launched my official Discord server. So these videos specifically, there is a thread in there that will allow you to post videos of yourself doing this drill, and you can either ask questions, show off, get feedback from others, that kind of stuff, and it's a good time. So the link's down in my bio if you want to join that and be a part of that. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.